Hello, blessed spirits. Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy hot topics. I'm very comfortable here. Folks, I got to tell you, I bought myself a new chair. I'm very excited about it. Not this chair, another chair. It's kind of like a mini shape of like a mini papasan. It's like the perfect chair for a 70s kid. Maybe while we're waiting for everybody to show up, I'll show you the new chair. What do you think? You guys want to see the new similar to Papasan chair? Yeah, I got it on Amazon. Let me pull back and change up the chairs. I got to get my notes. So I might as well just show you the new chair if I can move this chair. Maybe I won't be able to do this. You know what? I might not be able to do it with a new chair, but let me get my notes. You know, I don't think I'm going to be able to show you the chair, but basically it's like this one, only it's a little wider, smaller, and it's blue. And if you Google Papasan chairs Amazon, they have the ones that are separate and then they have it all in one. It's just slightly smaller, which when you think about it is better because Papasans take up a lot of space. Oh my goodness. Anyway, greetings to everybody. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. This is Thursdays. We talk about our remote views. We talk about, wow. I'm just looking at all my notes and I'm like, wow, I wrote that. Sometimes you write things and you're in like a altered state. Anyway, I just want to make sure I get all these organized. Okay, I'm here. So let's take a moment to turn things around and talk to me. How you doing? Where you coming from? What you drinking? Should we cozy on up? We're all having a little bit of tea time. If you're at your work desk, I promise I won't tell your boss. Just tell them I'm having tea with Dr. Whimsy. A little closer. All right. Can you guys see? This is our schedule today. Anything, excuse me, you guys want to talk about? I'm happy to talk about today. And we don't do the impasse prayer today. Look at that. I thought it was Sunday. Oops. Gonna have to erase that. Let me say hi to some people. Well, we're just waiting until people show up. We do this for a couple of minutes because people are showing up. Hi, Sharon Sipe. Thank you for your help today. Melody Harmon in the house. Happy Thursday to you. Tell me what you're drinking. Where are you coming from? Robin Blank, hello. Pig Swans in the house. Quinn E, peace to you as well. Desiree Roboto, thank you for your help. Much appreciated. Kihao Brigoli, hello. Meduchas, shalom. And Grandmere D. Oh, I like that. Sharon Sipe, we've said hello to already, and I think we said hi to Melody. Gunnar, hi Gunnar. Ellen Becker, good to see you. Susan Kelly, hello. Cher Bear, welcome. Toots, hi to you. Catherine, beautiful Catherine is here, and she's in Florida near Tampa. All right, what are you drinking? Me finding the perfect vegan cup of coffee, plant-based coffee, is the challenge right now. Thank you so much, Michelle, for becoming a member. Much appreciated. So right now I'm having a cup of coffee. This is the last of the coffee that Michelle sent me. It's Blue Mountain. And because I ran out of I kept the Blue Mountain for, special occasions. But I ran out of coffee and I forgot. I was just at the store and I forgot to pick up coffee. So I wanted a cup of coffee. So I broke open some of the coffee that Michelle gave me. So there you have it. So I'm trying to come up with the perfect vegan cup of coffee. Here you go. Here it is. So this is I think it's the Coconut Bliss Company. But this is actually an oat milk creamer, but and it's fine. It tastes great, but I didn't see on the label it said vanilla. Now, I am not a fan of vanilla flavored coffee. I just like my coffee to be straight up. Thank you for that donation, by the way. Much appreciated. Supporting the channel always is a good thing. Hi, Life is a Mindset, Lorraine. Great to see you here. Melissa Miller in the house. Welcome, welcome, Wilkie. Wiki's here as well. Hey, Astoria Queens. Love Astoria Queens. Happy Jewish New Year's to you as well. Yeah, you know what? I don't think I'm going to drink it. I'm going to give it to somebody because I don't like the vanilla flavor. It's such a drag. I'm trying. Chobani Extra Creamy. I almost bought that today. And I went to the store to buy Next Milk, which is vegan, which is supposed to be the closest to milk. And it was cleaned out. It looked like rabid animals had gone into the milk department. I said to the woman, "What the heck happened?" And she said, "Oh, PSU, it's the first day of class. So all the dorms, so the students came in and cleaned out all the great plant-based milks. So I got bupkis today. Oh, well, I got a little bit of oat milk, but I'm willing to do oat milk rather than that because I do not like the flavor of that fake vanilla. I like real vanilla, but I can taste when something is not real vanilla, and that's not real vanilla. So, oh well, give it to somebody else. All right. Ooh, pecan roasted. Hey, I'll try anything. As long as it's plant-based, it's not going to hurt my heart because I've really got to take it seriously what's going on with me and my cholesterol. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about some of the remote views. I think we have enough people now to start. It's interesting when we follow the energy, the cards, the remote views said that the Justice Department was determined to shut this whole craziness with Trump down in about 2.5 weeks, which made no sense to me because how can you do that? So when we follow the energy now, and when we had also seen the investigation, I think it was in November, December, prior to my vacation, we'd gone in on the Trump organization and the fact that they had been able to access account information. New York had. What we heard from Spirit is that the Trump organization is no more. So the fact that they are prosecuting the Trump organization now in a way is kind of old news because from everything we were able to ascertain from the remotes, they were basically shutting down. They were not able to operate. They were, they were basically operating at a bare minimum and scrambling to find other ways to make money, like Don Jr. Speaking events and things like that. He was getting paid to do writing books that nobody reads because based on what we could see, they had already pretty much shut down the Trump organization. So charging them is not a surprise. The other thing that we mentioned when we accessed information on the Trump organization and on Donald Trump himself is we wanted to let people know that they would be making it nearly impossible for him to get access to some of his money streams. And we had talked about that a little bit, I think on last week's Hot Topics. I can't keep track, but when we did go into the remote views, he was not able to get the kind of access to his finances that he had in the past. And this was because the people that he had been doing business with had had their accounts shut down, and some of those money streams, which was not public information, had been shut down by the feds. The other thing that I wanted to talk about had to do with the fact that this investigation basically hung in limbo for a couple of years, 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years, as long as William Barr was in the Justice Department. And that pretty much is what Christopher Wray and whatever information we could have. Basically, Christopher Wray is justifying the lack of activity on the part of the feds because of decisions that were made higher up in the Justice Department by Bill Barr. As we had said in previous remotes, when we followed the energy and also when we went into documentation on Bill Barr, we found that there were a series of investigations that had been opened up in the Justice Department because of the weaponization, the way that he had been using government resources in order to terrorize enemies of Donald Trump, using our security, etc., to attack peaceful protesters, etc., etc. So he's in legal trouble. It looks very, very bad for him. Sometimes when I abide with Bill Barr, he's crying. He's weeping, which is not something that I personally enjoy being around. Um, I will empathize with anyone that's in pain, even Bill Barr, but there are far-reaching consequences because of what he did. And to delay such a vital investigations put the entire nation at risk and may have been, and by suppressing facts about number 45, they prevented the impeachment from happening and put the entire nation at risk. So every time I go into Bill Barr's energy, I'm sorry to say, I just don't see, it does not bode well for him. I want to talk a little bit about the silent ownership from what we've been able to access energetically about the documents from Mar-a-Lago. And what we've been able to ascertain is it looks like there are investors or people that own Mar-a-Lago that are silent investors. And it would appear that some of those silent investors appear to be Russian operatives. So you have Russian money or foreign money that was the main investor into bailing out the Trump organization, and then they want to get something in return. And one of those investors is also Jared Kushner, which we've also talked about. And so it looks like for that reason, these 4 or 5 main investors, including Jared Kushner, want Trump out of Mar-a-Lago. They're the real owners of Mar-a-Lago, and he's going to be pressured. Now, as a result of that, and as a result of the fact that the IRS has been informed about some of the activities in New York, and these investigations will also open up investigations federally in Florida. If Florida suppresses those investigations, then there will be an investigation into Florida's suppression of investigations. So it's now not looking good for Florida, which brings us back to the remotes. Do you feel like you need to breathe? Yeah. Brings us back to the remotes about who was investing in Palm Springs real estate and the fact that that real estate is now being confiscated by the feds. Is this not crazy? The last thing that I would say is that it's looking like when you follow the energy on Donald Trump, that the most likely way for him to negotiate his surrender would be through Kushner and Ivanka to help him negotiate his surrender. I did access some kind of information about what appeared to be some kind of testimony from Ivanka. And in that testimony, she said that she was cooperating with a federal investigation, and she had noted that there had been a deterioration in her father's mental health, which had become increasingly apparent after he suffered from long COVID, which goes right back to what we had said in previous remotes. Yes, Mar-a-Lago is underwater. 40 million. There were 40 million. We were able to access information about the amount of debt, which is why 5 people came in to bail out Mar-a-Lago. They thought that had a great investment because they had the president, quote unquote, promoting their investment. But now it's become a big headache and they want the guy out. Not only that, but the feds are going in. So who's ever left, who's the hidden investor who hasn't gone to prison, is going to try and recoup their losses, but it's a huge swamp, it's a huge mess. And all of them are going to be audited. So even if you were clean and you decided to bail out this guy, this schmuck, I bailed him out. You know, if that's how you're feeling, now when the feds go in and take over, you're going to be stuck in the middle of this mess because you're one of the silent investors who maybe did have your hands clean. And that's the future of Mar-a-Lago. And the last thing I would say, and then I will go ahead and open up the floor, is that for that reason, I do think that Ivanka and Jared will likely, if they're not out already, at least on the sidelines, try and negotiate some kind of surrender for Trump, because a lesser deal and house arrest is the look, this is what ultimately happened with Manafort. You can't keep high profile people like he did house arrest. Same with Cohen. High profile people that are not a threat. And if he says he's guilty to a lesser if an old guy who they're testifying he has long COVID, blah 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 blah, they're going to get him off. All right, let's go ahead. We'll open the floor. We can go ahead and we're going to just talk about that. We've got a ton of other remote views. I just wanted to wrap it up because, well, we're headed toward. Here's the thing that I want everybody to be aware of, though. The feds want this gone as fast as possible. So hoping that we can keep information in the media or trying to find out information about the media is going to be really difficult, because it's kind of like trying to protect the horse. The horse is already out of the barn when it comes to the amount of intelligence that this guy gave to Russia and other not so friendly governments. And this is really propaganda 101 when you think of war, in the sense that what Putin was able to do is he was able to take control of what people thought was a patriotic movement, and it was really terrorism. And so what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with a national terrorism issue of people that were able to carry out terrorist acts because they thought that they were being patriotic. And so that type of mind control, where the people engaging in the terrorism, the people that are being manipulated to engage in acts of terrorism, are doing it under the guise that they are patriotic. But when we follow the money, what we find is that this is not patriotism. What we find is that the people that gave them the money are people that do not like the United States. They dislike our way of life, and they want to destroy our way of life. Much of the money came from the black market crime syndicates in Russia, which were associated with Putin. Some of it came from Saudi Arabia, which has a history of terrorism against the United States. So the money that was funding the patriotic movement was coming from countries that have historically been hostile to Americans and have historically declared war on us. So, someone like Ginny Thomas is a terrorist. She is a terrorist who has, she is a terrorist, and she is a traitor who was the go-between to access money from organizations that were under the guise of being patriotic, but were terrorist organizations taking money from uh, organizations, governments, etc., hostile to the United States. But the terrorist getting money from terrorist, dictatorships and countries with horrific civil rights violations, chopping people's heads off and hands off and everything else. These are the people funding these are the people that have decided to declare war on our Constitution. They don't like our way of life. They don't like women wearing whatever clothes they don't like, whatever clothes they like. They don't like the idea of a woman being able to file for divorce, for example. All right. So let's see. Make sure I get to everybody's questions, because I know a lot of people are. It's a very critical time in the investigation in terms of just as remote viewers because it's very critical, because of that 2.5 week mark, because I just don't know where else Trump can go now because not only did Letitia James send this all to the IRS and to Florida, and now if Florida doesn't do an adequate investigation, Justice Department is already thinking of going into Florida. We know that it's a swamp. We accessed information about other investigations that were taking place in Florida. Right? Because the oligarchs that were in the mega yachts off the coast that were paying to run this little thing and were getting the documents and all of that. So that's all about to blow. I think Desantis is finished. I never saw a future for Desantis. In fact, I'm surprised he survived as long as he did. Lindsey Graham is sad. I don't see a future for him either. I think that we're looking at censor, and I think that Lindsey Graham, particularly since he could be facing criminal charges, has to be removed from the Senate. You can't have somebody in the Senate while they're, a convict. So yeah, and Qatar. Yeah, thank you, Kay. So, um, I feel sorry for Lindsey Graham, he did some great bipartisan work um, with John McCain, right? They were a great team. They did some great stuff in terms of, trying to promote good, public health, etc. So now we're in a situation where he's just deteriorated so much. And like Giuliani, I mean, it's just a very sad ending. I want to talk a little bit, Melissa Miller, about that. People are asking a little bit about Russia. Here's the thing that we saw when we followed the energy is that there is a risk of nuclear war becoming a possibility if Putin becomes desperate. So when we followed the energy, we saw the ground troops would go in, that they would take over the area that they're taking over. We saw them hitting the depots. We saw them communicating, telling the people to get out because they were going to close off the Northeast corridor. Everybody fled to the Donetsk. We saw that. They went into that area. There are still military in Zaporizhia, but in the outer skirts, when I scanned, they were down to less than 200 soldiers from originally being over 500. So a lot of people took off. The other thing that is happening is that Putin has called for another 300,000 people forced conscription to go. So there are protests happening now, and he is threatening nuclear war. So the concern now is number one, that he has access to secretive nuclear weapons capability and information, that they could get into our computer systems, that they could shut down nuclear reactors, that they could play with nuclear weapons, that they have the nuclear codes, that they can crack into them with their electronics, or that North Korea could, which is an ally, or China, which is also an ally, with the amount of nuclear materials information that they currently have, in which case is a game over. If he's threatening nuclear weapons and he already has all of our nuclear information, him in North Korea, is the horse out of the barn? Is it already too late? Have we lost World War III? Now we know that Sweden and Britain are ready to close the skies once they are able to push the ground troops are able to push the Russians out of that area. The area would go back to Ukrainian control, and then at that point they could do a no-fly zone because the Russians wouldn't be there. The area would be liberated. So that's what they're trying to do. So we had talked about that. We talked about Sweden. We now know that Sweden Air Force has trained with Britain extensively. Another person killed today. So again, everything is moving in that direction, which has me concerned. We also talked about a remote we saw in the fall, potentially with Biden upset, October, November, possibly due to a risk of some kind of a disaster. So again, we always want to cool things down because everything is moving in a direction that puts us at risk of war, nuclear war, or the Americans getting in. And this is something that I had really wanted people to kind of meditate on this year, etc., as we were dealing with these remotes and even before. And that's the question of what do you do in a situation like that if that's the long game? If he has all this information about us, if he has all this power, if he is this desperate. And so for that reason, that is why it's moving in the direction that NATO will likely secure Ukraine and will unfortunately have to go in. And why usually when you follow the energy, unfortunately, they have to go in to secure the area once the Russians are um, demilitarized, which is what has happened. They're demilitarizing areas one by one. Yeah. All right. So that was the clarification on that. Any questions about that? We also talked about Ginny Thomas being a traitor 101. You convince them that they're really a patriot, and then you get them to do traitorous things. But ultimately, whether they're confused or not, they are traitors. They took money from enemy states and used it to create weapons to attack America. They are traitors. And they used a form of mind control, which they call Traitor 101. Ginny Thomas, and she was the bag lady, right? She was the money lady. She was the woman that was communicating with these organizations which had foreign ties in order to get the money to pay for the buses, et cetera, et cetera. So she's a traitor. Yeah, so I guess I can do the empath prayer and blitz, blitz, blitz away after that, and then whatever you guys want. But I think that's literally, I feel like you guys took everything out of my head. I don't know if there's anything more left. After all these remote views we've done over the years, it's like, I think the biggest shock for me was, now that we finally got to this point, probably Bill Barr was the most destructive force in this process. And a lot of the horrible things that happened because Bill Barr was in the Justice Department. It's one of the worst. It is the reason why January 6th happened, because everything is because of him, because he suppressed the investigation. He stopped the FBI from doing their work. He weaponized it, and he actually went after anybody attempting to get to the truth. He did so much. Much of the damage we're dealing with can be directly linked back to Barr, which is why Barr is in so much trouble. Whenever anyone gives me the order, I'm happy to do whatever blitzes people want. Did I get to everything? Yeah, I got to everything. Okay, I got the order to blitz, blitz, blitz away. Let's do the empath prayer and let's go for it. Sound good? Crazy. All right, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively, we say, Amen. Yeah, someone was mad because I put some pictures up of Kate Middleton joking around with William in college, and she was like, "You're being mean to her." No, I think she's a nice lady. The reason I did that was because I wanted to show that, like, there was an engagement party for Meghan and Harry at a pub before they announced it publicly, and there was a picture of them hugging, and Harry had given her a kiss on the cheek. and the tabloids were making it out like she was some drunk slut in the bar. Did y'all see the pic? It's a nice little kiss on the cheek on the night that they announced their engagement to their friends in the pub. And then the pictures of, what's her name? Kate, were far more risque. Not that there's anything wrong with it. They were just having fun. But it was just like it was about let us meditate on how the media ultimately controls our thinking. It's really more about a challenge for all of us to see how the media, it's not about attacking Kate. She's a lovely woman, beautiful woman, good on her. It's about let us think about these images and let us think about how the media, depending upon who owns the media and what their political whatever is, how we get manipulated by these images. And that's why I did it. Not to make anyone look bad. It's just all about Geocosmic Valentine wants to know about Adam Waldman. I evidently he's still doing his thing, but he's not the only one. It's Giuliani and all these others are also registered foreign lobbyists. I think Bannon and Stone also. So it was just code word for spy who goes on mega yachts and hands over classified information and takes a bunch of money from foreign governments because you're promoting their interest. And hey, I'm just a lobbyist promoting their interest. Yes, by being a double agent. And I mean, when you think about it, they're not even going to be able to find every crime because the criminals blew up the mega yachts with all of the electronics. Then they started blowing up their compounds with all the electronics, like the place they burned in Britain. One of Deripaska's colleagues, they burned the whole damn place down because he couldn't destroy all the electronics. So I don't think they'll be able to find out everything that happened, but I think that they've found enough, you know. Okay, so let's do this. No, we want everyone to love each other and not hate each other and to, call out double standards in the media and racism and stuff like that. So that's what that was about. Not to make anybody feel bad. All right, so Melissa Miller has a really great question. As you may know, Iran is going through some protests right now. Is anyone familiar with this? I think it's intriguing to see what's happening in Iran because you have a fairly educated population in Tehran, but you have an incredibly repressive regime. So let's take a look. The feminine is getting restless, which is something that is part of the awakening. We don't want to oppress healthy male energy, and we don't want to oppress healthy female energy or anything in between and beyond, right? We want everybody to be able to express their best self. And that's why I think the whole world is going back into this kind of energy of protest. Russia's crazy right now. Okay, so the most likely situation now for Iran's future with the revolution. They're going to be sabotaged from within. The new young men going into the regime, some of them are spies that are going to be working. You've got millennials. You've got millennials and Generation Z that are starting to work for the government, and they are working actively to sabotage the government from within because they support the women's movement. That's what they're saying. First card, we go into a Six of Cups, the man and the women loving each other and working together to build something positive in the garden. So this is kind of the rewriting of the Garden of Eden. We create heaven not by cutting each other down, but by supporting one another. And so it's kind of a rewrite of the Garden of Eden, right? They're exchanging flowers. They're building something positive, the man and the woman. It's returning back to Eden. So we often think of Six of Cups as the soulmates card, or to be innocent like children. But also, children are not naturally sexist. They have to be taught to hate females or to hate males or to hate transgender. Those are all labels and identities we have to learn to hate. Six of Cups is to go back to that pure innocence of children where we just love and we nourish one another and we support that in others. Ace of Wands is moving into 8th position, which means that that's the building of an uprising. They're lifting up their staff. It's entrepreneurship, but it can also be an aggressive kind of young energy of moving forward aggression. They're also saying that part of the protests that are taking place right now in Iran are taking place because of economic hardships that are happening in the country at this time. People feel like they're having a lot of grief about the fact that they're experiencing real economic hardships. They feel like they don't have a future. They feel like they've lost so much over the issue of money. The clarification over the future of Iran, many protesters will be arrested. There will be workers' protest and people will refuse to go to work. There will be an increase in militant action against the protesters and violence. But by spring of 2023, there could be a emerging new peace coming out of Iran. But as for now, protesters are to be arrested, zero tolerance. Double aces for the movement. Eventually, there will be peace. First, we fight. Ace of Wands. Remember, the wands are fire, and we think about Aries, we think about war. First comes war. They lift the staffs, and then comes the dove of peace. Ace of Cups. The hope and the fear, the economic future of Iran. Violence and war against the protesters. Blood on the sword. The final outcome for the grief, the protesters, is a new beginning will come to the people of Iran. And we do predict dates here. It will be in April of 2023. Any questions about the future of Iran? Thank you for the question. Here's a question from Gunnar. He wants to know about the future of India and Pakistan. I would be very curious. I don't think they'll be joining NATO. I'm not sure they are eligible, but India may be part of strategic partnership. Let's go ahead and take a look at the future of India and Pakistan and also their relationship with one another, since they both don't get along, and the whole nuclear thing. So let's take a look at the future of India. And you guys are great. You guys are asking a lot of international questions today, which I just love, because a lot of times we just stay in the US, and we do 20% are Great Britain and the Commonwealth. So we have to spread it out a little bit. Lots of Brits, lots of Canadians. Lots of Europeans now, too, about 10% Europe. Yeah. A new treaty for India and Pakistan. It's based on, they decided to have a new treaty because they can make a lot of money on business. There are that's very good. Thank you for letting me know that, Spirit. Okay. Well, this is exciting. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, I appreciate all the feedback I get from people. So I got a remote view for you guys that just came in. So what happened is that there are multi-billionaires out of India and Pakistan, that the border between India and Pakistan is unbelievably profitable for trade, and some of the products that are being produced out of Pakistan can be marketed and are very popular in India and abroad, and vice versa. And so what's happening is they want to expand trade between India and Pakistan. There is a great economic future here. India and Pakistan will have peace, and they're being very specific here. India and Pakistan will have peace because the billionaires that own India and Pakistan are making too much money on peace, and so therefore they will obliterate the option of war. We're making too much money on trade between the border. So we gotta have peace. In fact, hey, the more you can open up Karachi, man. Bring on, you got that tech stuff happening. I got stuff in Bombay. Let's schmooze. Let's do some chai and talk. So there's a lot of this wheeling and dealing, and we got the money, honey, down in the and billions here and billions that you want to freaking go to war. We're not. You have any idea how many people we hire? So this is like the border between Canada and the United States. And what I hear from India and Pakistan is we're basically borders. We border each other. We are making a ton of money. Look, this is the border chariot, right? It's to push forward, boom, border, and also military, right? Which is King of Swords, which is a strong military. So you have that area in Kashmir, for example, where parts of Kashmir are they're arguing over what's going to be Pakistan, what's going to be India at the border. But what you see when you go into this aggressive military chariot is a border card, because it's about pushing past the border. But the others in relation, or the issue regarding peace between Pakistan and India, is presented as a construct of peace. They're building something, and then you have scholarship. This is business, baby. And what is the business? The business is work and importing and exporting between the two countries. Look at that. Work, work, go, keep that machine humming. You guys know that song? Work. Da, 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 humming, work, work, go. They're working back and forth. Boom, boom, back and forth. These are work, scholarship, building contracts, work, import, export, 301s, ship coming in, and final outcome for India, Pakistan, Six of Cups, treaty. See, this is all treaty because of work. The powers that be. No, you're not going to bomb each other. No, you're not going to kill them because they're dirty Muslims. They're dirty Hindu. Who cares, man? Get to work. Get over it. You know, it's this kind of a feeling like, but we have a right to Kashmir. No, we have a right. Who cares? You can argue over lunch. It's just too much money at the border. There's too much money here. These are major corporations they're showing me in India. And so it no longer becomes an economic viable option. Isn't that powerful? And what the guy is saying here, I bet it's that Indian billionaire. What the guy is saying to us is, you see, us billionaires are good for some things. This is what the guy is saying in the remote. Yeah, I'm a trillionaire, but we're good for some things. I brought those products in from Pakistan. I put those people in remote areas back to work. I put their stuff on the market. We're buying their stuff. We're selling it abroad. They're getting rich. We're getting rich. You need people like me to make sure that these two people don't blow each other up. So what he said, isn't that crazy? So what they're saying is that through economic means we create peace. Now, if they could just go to Gaza and Israel and, the same thing, right? Let's get the car wash going down there in Gaza, because most people in Gaza are great. Most people in Israel are great. And what the guy is saying here is you have to give people an economic incentive. You have to offer them a life that's better than war. And so that is what he basically did. This may be the same guy that put his own money up for the COVID thing, or it may be a series of guys, but what great cards. And he does have a good point. Hey, if you have that kind of money and you're making that kind of money, lately I've been watching a lot of videos on food in Karachi and people that are lone travelers to Pakistan. And it is true that even though it's like off the beaten track, Pakistan has a reputation with foodies for being some of the most delicious food in the world. So foodies go to remote areas of Karachi to try the lamb, to try these foods, and to try these spice mixes and all this other stuff, because and they go crazy for some of this stuff in India because they can't get it. It's a flavor, etc. So the same thing happened with Canada and the United States. There's certain things we can't get in Canada, certain things. And so you have a peaceful border, not because you necessarily like each other, but because it's beneficial to tolerate each other. And that is the future. So it's a good ending, right? Six of Cups is always good, right? Car wash. That's what I think about when that's hard labor, right? 10 of Wands. That's like, all right. So Judith wants to know if Zelensky is safe. Thank you, everybody who has liked and subscribed. It would be really helpful. Much appreciated. All right, Zelensky, let's take a look. This is fun. You guys having fun? You got to admit, this is a full Hot Topics day because there's a lot that's been going on. I mean, this is like a hot topics. 45 is on the verge of, what's he gonna do? He's gonna have to surrender. It's just so sad. The concern is setbacks in the war because Putin is now threatening nuclear war. I know that Biden has told him not to, or there would be serious consequences. I know we have set up some missile systems to intercept. I don't predict death in cards. There are ethical reasons why we're not really supposed to do that, but I can predict if someone's in danger or something like that. No, what they're saying is that he's genuinely confused by Putin and he has no idea what Putin's doing. Putin's behavior is complete insanity and completely irrational. So there's the end of the insanity. 7 of Cups is a crazy card. Knight of Pentacles is about things ending. In terms of Putin's relationship with him, offering this is like a surrender. Archangel Raphael with the 8 of Wands. He can't win at this time, Putin. He's already lost over 35% of his military. Now, because so many people have died, he's trying to drag people into the war, many of whom are not even trained militarily. He has put himself in such an economic hole, according to what we're seeing here, that he feels like if he doesn't go all in at this point, it's like when you invest in a bad stock and you keep investing because you don't want to accept the fact that it's never going to go up. He has completely wiped them out financially. I just can't. Look at this. Look at their finances. He destroyed their finance. Look at this. Look, this is their finances. Look at their finances. They can't get out. Now look. You know, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. It's very obvious how the war ends for Russia. I can't. There's no way I could give a positive spin if I was his reader. Get out now, because if you keep dragging this on, the only thing that's going to happen is more Russians will die. What's happening is that the Ukrainians are becoming more and more trained. NATO is coming in, and so the only thing he's doing is he's sending Russians to their deaths. Yeah. Five of Swords is to walk away from a battle you cannot win, and that's Spirit's advice to Putin at this time. That is how I read Five of Swords. That's how most people read Five of Swords. Okay, let me take a sip. Yeah, not good. Oh, yes. Trump. Well, how much money are you going to have to pay the special master for Trump? Share Bear. I mean, it was basically over the first day when he said, well, this is classified. And it was, why do you have classified? Well, we can't tell you that it's classified. What? But you're the one suing them. You're the one that brought the suit saying that it's not right, that they should take this back, and that somehow you're entitled to classified federal documents. So what's your argument? Well, I can't tell you it's a secret code. Okay, well then in that case, this is pretty much decided. Okay. I mean, how much do you pay a special master for that? What is that, 2 minutes? I think you should be able to pay for that. Pretty funny. Okay, let's find something else juicy. Putin is done. Yeah, well, I think you're right, because they're not even stopping people anymore at the border. Oh, thank you, Anna Livy, for the donation. That's very kind of you. I've got to go to Pakistan. The stew. Thank you, Kay. I've been watching documentaries because the foodies go. There's like maybe 10 famous food critics that have gone to Karachi and filmed the food, because they use something called a slow cook technique. And there are also certain mountain herbs that only grow in Pak. There are reasons why. Based on the remote, they're making a ton of money, by the way. The people that are trading back and forth, there's no damn way they do not want war. They're making bank. Well, they probably are able to get local people to collect things like sumac and all of those herbs that grow wild, like sumac, etc. If you pay the locals to collect it, wild kasha, wild flax, they probably, it's reasonable to pay them, but in the market, people pay a lot of money for that stuff. I just got some wild harvested sumac from Palestine, just for there's certain rice dishes and things, but also for that reason, people will pay a lot because it's special. Okay, let's see. All right, what people want to know about the future of Sri Lanka. Yes, Sri Lanka has had, it's a family dictatorship, right? It's a family has had control, and then they brought down the Tamil Tigers, right? Future of Sri Lanka. Somebody wants to assassinate one of the heads of, I don't know a lot about this, but I'm seeing somebody trying to take out one of the leaders, like an attempted assassination. Yeah. I saw it and then I pulled it. They want to arrest and try people in leadership. He's going to be betrayed from within. What's going on in there? Does anybody know anything about this? These cards are wretched. Yeah. Boy, what's going on with the younger generation? You young people, my Lord. The young people arrest. It's like a house arrest. It's like they take the people in Sri Lanka, they betray them, and it's revolution. This betrayal, he's betrayed by his own. This could be jailed. new leadership, new economy. Let's do the clarification because that is wild. So yeah, I would say with these cards that things are going to change quite a bit in Sri Lanka, and it looks like the young people are going to demand. Yeah, he's finished. Look at this. That family, they're finished. They're losing power in Sri Lanka. They're also did they use some religious extremism? There was something about some kind of religious. They may have tried to cloak it in religion or something. There's something about assassinations, betrayal, bloodbath. I mean, this is looking like Game of Thrones, people. I don't know what the heck's going on over there. There's fighting. It's going to be revolution. Yeah. How long it will take, I don't know, but it may happen sooner rather than later because a lot of people want change in Sri Lanka based on those cards. Wow, that's crazy. Crazy, 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 man. All right, let's do one or two more and then we're going to be done, I think. Did you all have fun? Was it a good day for you all? Any more questions? Politics, weather, the celebrities, the royals. Always have a large group of people that like us to read on the royals. I did have a hit on the. Oh, yes. I had Prince Charles complaining to me the other day. I did have a remote. Prince Charles is very pissed off. Yes, that was my royals feedback. Prince Charles says that he is tired of people misunderstanding him. He says that evidently Prince Charles is claiming that he's a liberal and that the kids turned out to be these progressive liberals because of him, and that he's extremely upset about whatever accusations were made in the Oprah interview. Yeah, so that was the one thing that did come out that I didn't share was I did get a hit. He's just hypersensitive. Charles was deeply hurt. He said King Charles was deeply hurt by, and so were other members of the family because they felt that they had really taken a hit and he had really put himself on the line because of his opinions about the environment, his opinions about human rights, etc. Like he said that, he went through a period where they were teasing him, accusing him of being gay, etc. Like a lot of abuse he was subjected to simply because he was trying to promote the environment. He was the one that wanted William to be educated and go to Africa, etc. So in the remote, what Charles was saying is, my kids turned out this way because I played a part in it. And they didn't turn out to be wonderful men just because of Diana. I actually did have something to do with it. And I am angry, very, very angry and upset with both Harry and Meghan for misrepresenting me as some horrible racist when I'm the one that had my ass up against the line trying to reform the monarchy, and I have paid a heavy price for years because of it. So for her to come in like a Johnny come lately and tell me that I'm not progressive enough is extremely hurtful and infuriating. So that is his message. The message from Kate was that she was too upset to talk to her, and that Kate is claiming in the remote that she did everything she could to help Meghan at the time when Meghan arrived. And she said directly to me, I said to Meghan on the first day I met her, ask me anything, I'm here to help, and that I would make myself available to her if she needed any help adjusting to life in the firm. And then, according to Kate, she was accusing Meghan of basically not accepting the help. And then Kate said that she was then accused of somehow being jealous or whatnot when she had done everything in her power to make herself available to Meghan. So she was deeply hurt by that. And for that reason, she didn't want to just talk with Meghan because of how she had been represented as jealous, etc. And it was extremely hurtful to her because she really felt like Kate felt like she had really said, "Come to me for anything." And so, and Kate also accused Meghan of, when I did try to give her advice, she didn't want the advice that was given. So everybody, but the point I'm making is that when you are a remote viewer, you're kind of like a therapist for the other person. You have to be able to hear everybody's side. So then everybody gets their side out. Everybody tells their truth. In King Charles' mind, he has many, many times sought his heart to see if there's racism or prejudice. He believes he has done that, and he's very upset about the accusations. So the takeaway is that families are complicated, and anger, as we understand anger, isn't the family that's fighting amongst itself like this family is fighting racism, etc. It's the person that manipulates people to fight. And that goes back to the media, people like Rupert Murdoch, the sleazy Sky News out of Australia. There are instigators, people that this is how they make their money, this is how they maintain their power. They try to get people to tear each other apart. And one of the things that was so striking for me as a remote viewer when I did remote that family is how much alike they all are in their shared values, beliefs, and in their vision of what they want to do with their lives. And so it takes somebody with an intention to destroy to come into a family like that with an intent to get them to fight. When you have four or five people and they're all on the same page politically, etc., and they're on the verge of really making powerful political changes that are going to do great things for the liberals, for the environment, etc., that's a big threat to the powers that be. And that, to me, as a remote viewer, is intriguing because what we're watching, the force that we are not acknowledging that's causing all this drama, is that right-wing element that doesn't want to see the new Green Deal. It doesn't want to see these people get organized, right, with leftist policies, etc. So that is why this is happening. Which is not to say that King Charles isn't spoiled. Of course he's spoiled. You'd be spoiled. We'd all be spoiled. But he's also somebody who politically is very similar to Meghan politically. I mean, they even run similar businesses. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can step back from all of that and see how they're being manipulated and work together. So that was a thing I wanted to share about that. Okay, so we have Gunnar again asking a question. He wanted to know about Russia and NATO joining. What's the question? Hold on. Russia cannot join NATO because NATO was created to protect the West from Russian aggression. So they could not join NATO. Now they could be a strategic partner, like they were a strategic partner in World War II against Hitler, against a common enemy. And they have, in fact, been a strategic partner. Situations like where things have happened where they've gone in to help in certain situations. But no, Russia, we created NATO to protect ourselves from the USSR. The feel of what Putin wanted was for us to dismantle NATO because there no longer was a USSR. And he was angry that NATO was continuing to exert power and control over his borders after the collapse of the USSR. Yeah. Yeah, Judith, this was the remote view I got from William. Then William spoke in the remote, and it was very funny to talk to William because when I did the remote, I imagined myself because you're fifth dimension, so you're communicating with them. There's no time and space. It's just people's emotions. So I kind of called a family meeting when I did the royal family. And when I went into the remote, I heard William say, "Good God, not another family meeting." And I kind of laughed when I heard that, and in my heart, I said, Have you had much therapy?" And he said, "Really? I'm a Windsor, of course. We've all had massive amounts of family counseling, family therapy. We've had hours of it. I've had it, my father's had it, my brother's had it, my wife's we've all had nothing but therapy." So when I said so in the message, it was funny that the first thing that William said was, "Oh God, more therapy, like another family get together. We're all gonna unburden ourselves with one of the palace's therapists that's been brought in. We all have to sit and talk." It's like, "Do you have any idea, Whimsy, how many times we've done this?" So that was news to me. I didn't know that. Okay. Um, the other thing that he said was, yeah, he just defended his wife and that his wife had tried to help Megan and Megan had snubbed him. So that was their version. I can't think of anything else that I got from that. Is there anything else that will I just thought it was funny what William said, like that that's a typical straight guy reaction. "Oh god, we're gonna sit down again and talk about it." But it was also kind of cool that they do that, that they have it together enough, he and Charles, etc., to just have at it and have a mediator there while they say, "Well, this is how I feel about what you did. Okay, Harry, how do you?" And to actually have someone that works for the royal family, therapists and mediators, those situations, according to William, happen so often that he's freaking sick of it. But that seems to be where they're headed again. Isn't that funny? Like, "Oh, good God, not another therapist." His wife's had it. It's like how they do it all the time, evidently, since he was a kid, since his quite a bit after his mother passed, during the parents' divorce, and how were they coping with the divorce? They had to have shared and private, and then to discuss the children coping with the. He said all of that happened. It's to the point where he's sick of it. Okay, that's how he feels. Okay, this is a really good thing for us to end on. This is the Georgia probe. Let's take a look. Sounds to me like a typical family, you know? It's like, who wants to have nobody nobody wants to go to family therapy. Okay. The Georgia probe, which I think is gonna have to I think it's I always see Lindsay being forced to resign. Be curious what other remote viewers feel HCRV practitioners when they follow the energy. They're finished. Not only that, but it was all paid for by corrupt money. Lindsay's finished. It's not good. The other in relationship to Lindsey Graham, he's gonna be asked to resign. Hang it up. Mm. Defending himself against an investigation. Dirty money. Ooh! Oh my god, what a horrible end for Lindsey Graham, man. It's just so sad. I mean, I actually think Lindsey Graham didn't he used to be one of the reasonable Republicans? I mean, what a horrible ending for him. He has no future. I mean, like, look at this. He did business with the wrong people. They're asking him to he's gonna have to stay. The more this blows up, he has to step down. Isn't that horrible? This is the other in relationship to him, which would be the Senate, the investigation, hanging it up. He's gonna have to hang up the Senate. Dang, man, that's pretty obvious. You know what always comes up though with these investigations over Trump? It does feel like a cult. It's almost like a cult that gets connected with an evangelical cult, and but when it's all over and people have been stripped from the Senate and all the other horrible things that happen to these people, they kind of there's more, by the way, but Seven of Cups, like Seven of Cups is to be in the clouds, it's to be in your cups, it's to be delusional. And so the other thing that always comes up with Lindsey Graham and everybody else that kind of got seduced by Trump is that they wind up in this kind of insane world, surrounded by other people in this insane world, and they completely break with reality. The final investigation, unfortunately for Lindsey Graham and the people in Georgia, is that there is, again, as I mentioned, a criminal investigation into corruption on the East Coast, and it's going to be linked back to January 6th and what took place in Georgia. And you can see they followed the money. There's a criminal investigation. So, yeah. Wow. So that's Michelle. I drank. This is the last of the coffee. This is it. Last of the coffee. All right, my loves. You are a delight. Has anyone ever told you that? You are a delight. It is delightful to spend time with you. So, my friends, we have reached the end. We have also reached the point at which it looks like the most likely outcome should be, I would think, some kind of arranged surrender. So Mueller got his guy, huh? Yeah? It turned out how Mueller said eventually it's gonna turn out like this. Maybe not today, but I know how it's gonna end. And it ended exactly like Mueller predicted it would. Yeah. No, I actually feel bad for Lindsey Graham because, if we had gone really left, who knows? He might have even been able to have been more open about his life and stuff, because he's somebody who has nothing but the Senate. And so it's very tragic that it's very, very likely, with criminal charges, with everything that's happening, that he cannot continue on in the Senate. Right. Love and light to you all. Thank you so much for your support. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com. If you need just a quick 5-minute video question shot and sent to you, you can go to Wizio, and that information is also below this video. If you need to see me as a doctor and as a medical intuitive and you need some health coaching, you can go to drwhimsy.com. Be well, everyone. And again, thank you so much for all of your love and support. I appreciate it. Oh, you did, Michelle? Oh, great. I can't wait to talk with you. Oh, great. Awesome. All right. Be well, everyone.